Would I buy Bitcoin in the bear market? All right. Chances are you know the answer to that question if you've been watching my channel for a while, or if you just simply, if this is your first time, you simply look at the title of this channel, World War Bitcoin. Yeah, the answer is yes, of course. And now is a time, in my opinion, that it logically makes sense to buy Bitcoin. Now, I will say anything's on the table. I mean, I'm hearing calls for Bitcoin to put a lower low this cycle than what it did last cycle. Is there a 0% chance that it's going to happen, that Bitcoin's going to go below $3,000? I'd say that it's very, very unlikely to happen, but anything is on the table in this macro and environmental condition we are in. With that being said, logically, it makes sense to be buying Bitcoin right now. And if prices go lower, you can be thankful that you're buying even cheaper Bitcoin. But I want to do the exercise because this is a part of a series. This is part 2. If you did not watch the introduction, do so. Please go ahead. I made the video yesterday talking about this this series that I'm doing, a 1,001 part series. And so why would I buy Bitcoin right now, and why would I buy Bitcoin in the bear market? Well, let's talk about that. So first of all, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I've talked a lot about the 200-week simple moving average. This has been a historic time to have gotten in and bought cheap Bitcoin. You see the bear market from 2018 until, when was that, man? You know, about a year, almost a year of Bitcoin pretty much riding the 200-week simple moving average. And then we have 2018, 2019, where Bitcoin bottomed out at the 200-week simple moving average, didn't have a monthly close below it, which we're probably going to have a monthly close below. Tomorrow is the end of the month. I'm making this on June 29th of 2022. So probably going to have a first ever monthly close. I mean, it makes sense in one regard that economic conditions right now are different than they've ever been in Bitcoin's existence. And so I'm not going to sweat that too much, but yeah, look at historically. Again, riding the 200-week simple moving average and then bouncing higher. COVID crash had a couple weekly closes below the 200-week simple moving average, but that was again a phenomenal buying opportunity. And here we are again. The current Bitcoin 200-week simple moving average is about $22,500. Bitcoin, as I'm looking at it, is a little over $20,000. And so now it would make sense to be a buyer of Bitcoin in the bear market. Another thing that people have talked about a lot, I am not as big of a fan of it because, you know, I think a lot of people were waiting for Bitcoin to enter this red zone, right? The fire sale, the Bitcoin's way too hot, it's overpriced, so that's when you sell. It peaked at 2 levels lower than that, but if it did peak on on April 14th, when Bitcoin peaked at $64,900, this model would have had Bitcoin's price at $134,000 and didn't get anywhere near there. And so a lot of people got burned by that. But if you're going to look at the rainbow chart model now, it would say that we're in fire sale territory. You can see the meaning of the different colors there. Fire sale is the lowest price in this model, fire sale territory. Can we go lower than fire sale territory, thus breaking this model? We certainly can, but it just makes sense, because here's my question that I want to ask. What are the chances that Bitcoin is going to put a higher high in after its next halving than from this cycle? It's not a 100% chance, but I would give it about a 95% chance that we will see higher than $69,000 next cycle. I would even give it a fair chance that we would see higher than $69,000 this cycle before the 2024 halving. But the chances are very good that Bitcoin's going to put in a higher high next cycle. Bitcoin's at $20,000. So even if Bitcoin only got to $80,000, just an $11,000 increase over this current cycle, that's a 4x from here over a period of 3 years, maybe. That's a fantastic return. Now, Bitcoin could certainly go much higher than that next cycle, but there's something I really want to look at and examine when it comes to where is Bitcoin going next cycle? Because if you remember, probably, before the big bull run this cycle, when Bitcoin was hanging around $10,000, what seemed like forever, there was a big debate between lengthening cycles versus regular cycles. And that was the big debate. And that debate really just missed the mark. There is no such thing as lengthening cycles. There is such thing as diminishing returns. That has been very much confirmed. A 40x from the very first Bitcoin peak to the second cycle top, and then a 20x to the third cycle top, and then from there, like a 3.5x to the current cycle top, which I would attribute, I would attribute to the fact that there's no such things as lengthening cycles, and there's no such thing as regular length cycles. I mean, that was the big thing. The debate was, is Bitcoin going to peak in November, December of 2021 like it did previous cycles, or is it going to peak much later? May of 2022, September of 22. That debate is dead, and here's how we need to look at it. It is, when are there seasons of tightening and loosening? So with the DXY, this is the big indicator that we can see. Is the Fed, are central banks around the world, are they tightening or loosening? Right now, they are very much tightening, which is causing people to flee to the dollar. But when we see periods when central banks are loosening, that is the fodder in which Bitcoin can see new highs. So not only that, but then also the stock to flow. I'm not talking about the stock to flow model, but Bitcoin's stock to flow in general. And so we can expect in general higher highs and higher lows each cycle because of the fact that it is algorithmically designed to create a sense of scarcity. But the biggest thing, I think, is the fact that we need, during any given cycle, for there to be a period of loosening and not a period of tightening. And so, here's some examples here. December 1st, 2016, until the DXY, until it bottomed out in January of 2018. If you remember, the excitement of the 2017 bull run was encapsulated in the DXY going from 103 all the way down to 88 or so. That was the bull run, and then there really wasn't much going on until COVID, and Bitcoin did a 20x at that time. But then until the COVID crash, the DXY topped out a little over 101, and then we saw over a period of about a year, the DXY bottom out at about 88, and that was the run. That was the big run. I know we did put in a $69,000 peak in November, but the reason why we didn't put a higher peak was because the DXY was moving up and not down. We were in a period of potential tightening, or at least the fear of tightening, and not a period of loosening. And so if we continued to see loosening, Bitcoin would have gone very much over six figures, but it wasn't in the cards. We needed to tighten up because of inflation. So Bitcoin peaked on April 14th, and that is right around the time that the DXY bottomed. In a lot of altcoins, we had that Dogecoin season, the meme coin season. That was the peak excitement was when the DXY bottomed out. And the reason why I'm saying this is because if we're seeing the DXY right now at a point that we haven't seen in 20 years. Let's just say this is not going to happen, but let's just say the DXY just continues to climb until 2028. I would put that in the 5% chance that Bitcoin is not going to put in a higher high next cycle. But if we see a move down in the DXY, back down to the 80s or maybe even lower than that, because we did have some really low times for the DXY, but let's say back down to the 80s, then that's going to create an atmosphere in which Bitcoin can explode beyond its previous all-time high and reach new highs. And I do expect that to happen, especially because with inflation being so rampant as it is right now, I really think people are just waiting for an opportunity to put their money into investments, to put their dollars into investments. They don't want to hold it in something that's guaranteed to be worth less a year from now than it is now. And so that's what I'm looking for. And I very much, I'd say a 95% chance that we're going to see some kind of move down in the DXY, people going risk on, so that we can see a higher high for Bitcoin next cycle, which means, yeah, Bitcoin's going to do very well from if you bought it today at $20,000, or if you bought it at what? Let's say it goes down to $10,000. If you bought it at $10,000, you will do very well if you hold on to that. And until the time that we see a good move in the DXY down, so that people are putting their investments into more risky assets. Now I want to do an exercise, and I want to stay faithful to the introduction video that I made. I want to ask these questions, the questions that I want to ask as to whether or not I would invest in Bitcoin in the bear market. So, first major category, timing. Question 1, was this cryptocurrency created before or after April 14th of 2021? Of course, we know that Bitcoin was created before April 14th of 2021. So question 2, if before, will the next cycle be the second, third, or fourth cycle for this cryptocurrency? For Bitcoin, it's actually going to be the fifth cycle. The next cycle will be the fifth cycle. Yeah, that's real. I think it's the only cryptocurrency that would be true of. Question 3, if third, fourth, or fifth, did the cryptocurrency put in a higher high and a higher low each progressive cycle? If yes, my answer is likely yes, that I would buy this cryptocurrency next cycle. Bitcoin has consistently over its cycles put in higher highs and higher lows. The chances that it's going to put in a lower low, below $3,000 between now and the next halving are very unlikely. I'd say less than 1%. And so this is a strong yes, a 10 out of 10 yes. A couple more questions here. If the upcoming cycle is going to be this crypto second cycle, then we need to examine some other factors. Not going to do that because this is not Bitcoin's second cycle. But then tokenomics, Bitcoin has phenomenal tokenomics. How far has this cryptocurrency dropped from its peak? That's a good question to ask. I mean, right now we're in the 70% range. For Bitcoin, that gives me a lot of confidence that I would want to buy this based on the fact that I am very convinced that we are going to see a higher high next cycle. So the returns will be very, very good. So we can see that in this chart. We can't even see the previous cycles. Somewhere in there we see Bitcoin at $1,300. And then before that, we see Bitcoin at $32, which was its original cycle peak. And now we're seeing Bitcoin at $20,000. It's got a long way to go before it were to reach a lower low territory. It's most likely not going to happen. So yes, very much so. I would buy Bitcoin. That shouldn't be a surprise to you, but it is worth going through this exercise to just keep sharp with this. If anything ever changes, I will give an update. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section and let me know. Are you going to buy Bitcoin in the bear market, or are you already buying? I'd love to hear that, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you in another video. Peace.